I'm happy to be joined by our next guest, who will be making his return to action against Tenya at RIZIN Landmark 15 in Hiroshima on July 18th, the 2019 Lightweight Grand Prix semifinalist and former title challenger, Johnny Hollywood Case. Johnny, thank you so much for your time today.
Hey, it's a pleasure, man. It's good chatting with you again.
Absolutely. So we haven't seen you in action for quite some time, but looking at your Instagram, you've been back home in Iowa and more recently in Vegas at Extreme Couture. So talk to me about what you've been up to these last 12 months.
Man, so I started my own gym back in Iowa. So I've been coaching fighters, building fighters. I own an MMA promotion in Des Moines called Midwest Cage Championship. So, I've been focused on, coaching and promoting and kind of helping fighters there. And just really focusing on building the scene back in Iowa. As of recently, I came to Las Vegas, back to Extreme Couture, actually where I was training during my time in the Grand Prix 2018, 2019. It's been great, man. Like, life is good right now. It's busy, but it's a good busy. So I can't complain.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up because I saw that your promotion, MCC, you guys have held 3 events since August of last year, and you have another event coming up in August, I believe. And
Yep.
It seems like the events have been pretty exciting. Lots of first round finishes out of, I think it's 19 out of 33 fights. So how have things been going as a promoter, and just how have the events been overall?
Man, it's been awesome. The whole reason why I even got into, promoting, and it's because I remember what it's like to be those fighters, and just kind of having the dream of making it. I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for lots of many people who have helped me along the way, and my partner, also my uncle, Rick Tassler. He's one of the best matchmakers, one of the best mentors that I could have ever asked for. He does such a great job at making good, exciting matchups, and helping build fighters, and that's what it's all about. There's a lot of promoters, who just, they're interested in pimping out fighters and getting ticket sales, and not really interested in building the sport and building fighters. So our whole focus has been on giving back to the sport, building guys, make sure they get the appropriate fights, and getting them up to the next level.
Wow, it's really a family affair. I didn't know that Rick was your uncle.
Yeah, he's my uncle. Yep, I couldn't ask for a better partner.
That's super cool. And then your cousin also was fighting on those cards as well, yeah?
He was, yeah. Alley Cat, Alex Coover. He had a really awesome, exciting first round finish in the LFA. Then he fought another fight and just kind of didn't, had an off night. Had a great fight, but just had an off night. And had a son, got married. So life kind of got busy for him. Started a new job, bought a house.
Wow.
He's just kind of taking the time to be a new, to learn the ropes of being a father, and buying a house and all that stuff. So he's actually just started getting back into training pretty hard as well, and looking for him to fight probably next November.
Awesome. And will that also be in MCC or elsewhere?
I don't know. I think yeah, we'll probably get him a fight in MCC, but if LFA or anything bigger like that comes along, then we'll definitely get him that fight as well.
Awesome. And speaking of family, you're a father of 2 boys. They both do wrestling. And I saw that your son, Cruz, his record this year was 45-17. He had a 93% bonus win rate. He's the AAU district champion. He's just doing extremely well in wrestling. And Cooper also is having a strong showing. How have they been doing in wrestling? And just tell me more about that.
Man, it's been amazing watching them, grow into their own. When they were younger, I was dad, I was kind of coach, like we were just kind of doing it for fun. But honestly, the best thing that I could ever have happened, and the best advice I could give to any, wrestling dads out there, is that I got them with a high level team, high level coaches. And I could stop being coach and I could just be dad. I could go and enjoy watching them wrestle. And when that happened, they really just kind of turned the corner and took off, and made it their own. And man, they're far tougher than I ever was at that age, and it's really cool. It's really cool to see them really dedicate to something, put the time in, and go out there and kick ass. As a father, nothing else can make you more proud.
And I mean, obviously they're doing incredibly well now, but in the beginning, was it difficult to get them to buy into doing wrestling?
It kind of, yeah. So my oldest, he's the kind of kid that, like, if he's gonna do something, he wants to be the best at it, or he's not happy. You know what I mean? So when we first started, he was doing well, but the loss, I think he hated losing more than he liked winning. You know what I mean? And my youngest, he's such a savant. You can show him something once and he's got it down. But his chink in the armor, so to say, is his competitiveness. Like he's amazing. He's probably more gifted naturally than my oldest. But when it comes down to the hard competition, the high stakes matches, he tended to shy away from that. But I would say, like, probably year one, like the first couple months of the second season with that high level team, they really kind of turned the corner. Being in the room with all those other studs, all those other coaches, and and then also they took my advice a lot more honestly. You know what I mean? It's like when you're being coach and being dad and trying to do both, it's like it's kind of hard for them to separate the two, But when I could just be dad and watch the wrestling and be like, man, you did this so awesome, and but think about this, think about this. They kind of took my advice to heart a lot better, and I think it took a lot of the pressure off, and their wrestling showed for it.
And of course, with your background, also doing wrestling growing up, do you see any of yourself in any characteristics that they have?
Oh man. No, they're far better. They're going to be way better men than I ever was, and that's a testament to, just them being around me fighting, seeing me fail, seeing me lose fights, seeing me win fights, seeing me dedicate it, and like a lot of like everybody knows, fighting, to be good at fighting, it takes a lot of sacrifice, it takes a lot of sacrifice, but it wasn't just my sacrifice, they sacrificed too. They sacrificed time. I miss birthdays, I miss Christmas, I miss stuff like that. But they finally are to the age now where they get that. They understand that it takes sacrifice to be a champion. It takes sacrifice to be winning against elite guys, And I think once that kind of came full circle and they kind of became mature enough to understand that, our relationship blossomed, their relationship blossomed, or their relationship to wrestling blossomed, and I think they kind of instilled the traits that they had seen me, and the wrestling really showed.
And given your busy schedule, just as a fighter, promoter, running a gym, how involved are you able to be in their wrestling?
Oh man. So like my oldest, he's gonna be a high schooler next year. Oh man. So unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to be like in the room with them, but I don't miss a meet, whether they're wrestling in Pennsylvania or whether they're wrestling all over the country. Like I'm there, I'm their number one supporter, I'm their number one fan. And that's never gonna change. I'm their number one fan for life, and they know that.
No, that's awesome. And then thank you for giving me such detailed answers about all of that. It's not directly tied to your upcoming fight, but it's always interesting to hear more about that. So let's kind of change gears and go back to RIZIN. A lot has happened in your division since you last fought in May of last year. The belt has changed hands twice. Nojimov obviously stopping your former foe and current friend Roberto Souza on New Year's Eve, and then Gustavo, someone you were supposed to fight once upon a time, is now the champion. He defeated Nojimov last May. What was your reaction to all of this as it happened?
Man, the lightweight division is certainly exciting. That's for sure. After I fought Satoshi for the title and lost, it I, it kind of broke my heart. Well, no, kind of, it broke my heart. And I got to the point where I was like, man, do I even want to do this anymore? If I'm not a champion, then I'm a nobody. And if I'm a nobody, why am I fighting these killers? You know what I mean? And it wasn't until Satoshi invited me to come back out to Japan and help him get ready for AJ McKee. We were having a conversation one day, and he's like, "Oh, well, why do you fight?" And I was like, "Well, to be a champion." And he's like, "Oh, I understand." He's like, "Well, why did you start fighting?" I was like, "Ah, because I like it." And he's like, "Well, that's enough." And I was realizing, I'm like, man, here I am throwing a fit, like being a little baby and acting like, "Oh, I'm not a champion. I don't even want to fight anymore." It's like, man, it's okay to just like fighting, and like how many guys could even see, this, like when they start fighting, even see themselves fighting for a title. You know what I mean? Losing a title, winning a title, even having the opportunity to fight for a title is pretty amazing, and it kind of made me redirect my focus. I just got back into loving fighting, taking it one fight at a time, and seeing the way that the division is playing out. Gustavo now is the champion. We were in the Grand Prix together. We were supposed to fight before, and I realized that the opportunity to fight for another title and the opportunity to become a world champion is still on the table. I just got to make sure like last time. I just don't put the cart in front of the horse, you know, just take it one fight at a time, enjoy each and every fight. Each and every time I get to compete is such a blessing, you know, and I'm going to treat it as such. And if the opportunity ever rises again where I'm fighting for that title, I'm going to seize that opportunity and I'm going to make sure I do what it takes to win the fight.
Absolutely. And obviously you are matched up against Tenya currently, but just as the events were playing out, did you have your eye on anybody in particular?
I don't. Yeah, just the title. So, like, you know, Gustavo. I want that title. You know, there's so many exciting fights to make in the division. Obviously, Satoshi and I are 1-1, but I really don't have any like desire to fight him. He's more like a brother now, unless it's for the title, right? Unless it means something, you know. And I know he would understand as well. So that's always a good fight. You know, the rubber match there. Gosh, what was it? What was the guy that beat him? Nasta, his name.
Nozimov.
No, Nozimov. No, yeah, that'd be a great fight. That's another great one. Gustavo, obviously a great fight. Man, there's Sakuraba's son. There's so many exciting fights you can make in the division, and whatever it takes, man. Like whatever matchup gets me closer to the title, I'm down. That's the one I want.
Absolutely. And obviously, your last fight was just over a year ago at RIZIN's first show in South Korea. You stopped Juri Ohara in round 1. It was a classic Hollywood performance from you. But unfortunately, on your record, it is a no contest due to the weight miss. I guess how dire of a situation was that just in the aftermath of the fight?
Man, I can't even begin to explain how like just disappointed I was in myself. You know, even though I did get the first round KO, it didn't feel like a win. You know what I mean? It didn't feel good. You know what I mean? Because I missed weight. You know, and especially after I missed weight the first time when I fought Bay Noah. You know, I'm 37 years old. I was just coming off of a complete knee surgery. And I thought after the Bay Noah fight that I had figured out what I needed to do to make sure my weight wasn't ever going to be an issue. I was mistaken. You know, I ended up missing weight by 3 grams my last fight, and after that, I just, you know, I was kind of, you know, uncertain of whether even I had a job with RIZIN. You know, whether or not they would even wanted to bring me back. You know, you miss weight once in Japan, you usually don't get invited back. You miss weight twice, yeah. So you know what I mean? Like I did everything in my power. I've been on a nutrition plan. I've been, you know, with a dietitian since my last fight. You know, since over a year ago. So I've done everything to make sure that this fight I'm gonna make weight and I'm gonna go out there and when I knock this kid out, I'm gonna get my hand raised.
Yeah, and obviously with this matchup against Tenya, both of you guys are strikers. It's a very exciting matchup. I guess when was the fight decided? How long ago was it actually decided?
I think Shingo kind of gave me a heads up, like, hey man, we're kind of want to give you another shot, and you know, kind of gave me a tentative date when, you know, so it's like, hey, kind of make sure your weight's in check, you know, and we'll go from there. So, but as far as like the actual matchup, I want to say like May and mid-May is when I finally got the name of the opponent.
And was that the first time that you got an offer since your last fight?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And have you been able to watch any footage on Tenya? Obviously, he made his debut a couple months ago.
I have, yes. Yeah, I've been able to watch some of his fights, you know, his pancrase fights, all of his, yeah, like probably seen like 5 or 6 of his fights. So he's young, he's tenacious, he's a good striker, but he's green, you know, and this will be my 19th year fighting as a professional fighter. You know, what is it? Over 10 years, probably 11, 12 years fighting on the world level. You know what I mean? So ignorance is bliss. You know, you don't know what you don't know. And unfortunately for him, he's going to find out on the 18th.
Yeah, Tenya had some choice words for you when the fight was announced at the press conference. I'm pretty sure this is the first time in RIZIN, at least for on your end, that someone has done a bit of trash talking towards you. Does that give you any added motivation going into the fight?
No motivation, just gives me confirmation, you know, like someone who like, I don't care who the hell you are. If somebody's going to look at me and think that I'm going to be an easy fight, man, you're that's what I love. You know what I mean? That just tells me he's way overconfident. And you know, if he's gonna truly overlook me like that, he's gonna lose.
Mm-hmm. And there's some kind of jokes online from the fans because Tenya missed weight. He missed weight by like an egregious amount in his debut. Your weight miss was quite close, but some fans are joking that this is a matchup between two fighters who kind of had some trouble making weight recently. Are you able to see the silver lining in that? Do you see the humor in that?
Of course, of course. Like I know I'm a shithead. I know I miss weight. I hold myself on being a professional. You know what I mean? That's the one thing. Like you could go out and get knocked out in 10 seconds, and if you make the weight, then you did your job. You know what I mean? So it was just an embarrassing thing. When you miss weight, it's like you let yourself down, you let the company down, you let your fans down. You know what I mean? And yeah, like when you met, what he messed with by 3 kilos, that's like over
Yeah,
6 pounds. You know, he just
yeah.
like he didn't even try. And not only that, but it's like that tells me the amount of like training he did. You know what I mean? So shit happens, but I think he's in for a rude awakening.
Mhm, mhm. Do you have a kind of when you visualize the fight? How do you see the fight playing out? Do you have a prediction in mind?
Win. I don't care. Knockout, submission. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna put it on this kid and I'm gonna break him. Whether it be knockout, whether it be submission, take him down, ground and pound him. I'm gonna finish the fight and I'm gonna make sure. I don't have anything against this kid. I don't want to hurt him. I don't want to, stifle his career. But he's gonna learn. He's gonna learn there's 11 levels to this game, and you don't look past anybody, especially a veteran like myself.
And like you mentioned earlier, you don't want to put the cart before the horse. But assuming you go out there, you get a good, impressive finish. You come out with injury free. Do you want to fight again in 2026, or do you think maybe a bit more time? Like, how do you feel about that?
I would love a quick turnaround. Absolutely love a quick turnaround. Since the Grand Prix, I feel like some of my best years I've had to been on the bench. You know what I mean? Like since the Grand Prix, then COVID hit. I had to sit for 2 years. I came back and I fought, lost the title, had another fight, lost to Takeda. Wasn't even sure if I even wanted to fight anymore. Like kind of fell out of love with fighting after I lost the title. And then got that fight and then ended up blowing my knee out. Set almost another 2 years. So and then fought Bay Noah, missed weight, had to wait a year, got that matchup with Yuri Ohara, missed weight, won the fight, but it was no contest. Had to wait another year. You know what I mean? So I'm ready to get after it. I'm by no means past my prime, but I know I'm at the end of the last few chapters of my career. Whether that's one fight, whether that's 10 fights, I don't know. It's just kind of up into I put it in God's hands. But I would love to go out there, get a quick win, stay healthy, roll right back into fight camp, and just keep stacking these wins, man.
Awesome. And lastly, can I get a message to the RIZIN fans in Japan and around the world?
All my RIZIN fans, I love you guys. You guys are the best fans in the world. Nobody shows me support and shows me love like you guys, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. I hope you guys tune in on the 18th. Watch me put this young kid away and follow me on my social medias, Johnny Hollywood Case on Facebook and X, and Hollywood Johnny Case on Instagram.
Awesome. Johnny, thank you so much for your time today. It's always a pleasure to speak with you.
Absolutely, bro. You too. And I can't wait to see you in a couple weeks, man.
Absolutely.
Is there anything you want? Hey, by the way, I was going to ask you, is there anything from America that you miss you want me to bring?
Oh, man. Especially if you were in Iowa, man, I'd want something from the Midwest. But yeah, sheesh. I don't know. Surprise me. Surprise me.
Yeah? All right. I'll bring you a gift, brother.
I appreciate that, man. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Johnny, thank you so much and best of luck in your upcoming fight.
Thank you, brother. See you soon.
Our next guest is a top contender at featherweight who will face Kyohei Hagiwara at RIZIN Landmark 15 in Hiroshima on July 15th. He is known as the King of Kazakhstan, Karshyga Dalpek. Karshyga, salam alaikum. Thank you for joining today.
Walaikum salam.
So the last time that I spoke with you was in February before your fight against Fukuda, but you had some problems and you couldn't make the fight happen. So once again, for the fans who don't know what happened, could you explain why the fight was canceled?
Сол бойға дайындық кезінде менде нервный системамен және давлениемен үлкен проблемалар болды. Давлением түсіп кетіп 55-те 90-ға шамамен болды. Және де нервный система сбой болып, кішкене восстановление дұрыс болмай, ұйқы дұрыс болмай, шамамен 2 айдай уақыт тренировка жасамай емделумен айналыстым.
And is that the reason that you are returning to featherweight?
Да, мен қазір ұзақ уақыт төбелеспегендіктен уже сондықтан мен шешім қабылдадым 66-ға төбелесіп кішкене денсаулығым қайта проблема бола бермес үшін 66-ға төбелесе берген дұрыс деп ойлап жүрмін.
And after the fight was canceled, how long did you spend away from training and what were you thinking during that time?
2 айдай уақыт тренировка жасамадым деп айтуға болады. Шамамен майдан бастап жаттығуға кірістім ғой.
Were you feeling frustrated at the time, or did you feel like it was a time where you could relax?
После соңғы бойлар кішкене непонятный ситуациялар болғандықтан, Кубамен бой не состоявший болды, Пукудамен бой болмай қалды. Сол себепті кішкене настроение болмады. Бірақ мен бұл спорт, мен де уже жас емеспін, бәрін түсінуге болады. Қолдан келген барлығын жасап, қайта оралуға тырысып жатырмын, қайта.
And so you spent 2 months no training. When you started training again, were you training at Turan Orda or did you train at other gyms as well?
Мен Шымкент қаласында 2-3 залда тренировка жасаймын. Соның біреуі Туран Орда, ММА зал. Екіншісі Ильяс боксинг академия деген боксерский зал. Және де физический тренировка жасайтын зал бар, World Class деген. Сол 3 залда тренировка жасаймын. Ильяс боксингта мой тренер, заслуженный тренер Казахстана по боксу. Он подготовил 2 чемпионов мира, участника Олимпийских игр. С детства меня знает. С детства меня тренировал.
Wow, that's definitely a great environment to be in. Since your last fight in December, RIZIN has held 4 events. I'm curious, did you watch each event and did you watch the fights at featherweight?
Бәрін көрдім деп айта алмаймын. 1-2 бой ғана көрдім. Раджаптың бойын көрдім, Нұрханның бойын көрдім. Басқа бойлар көрген жоқ, есімде жоқ.
And of course, Rajab Ali fought in a rematch against Yuta Kubo, who was your last opponent. Did you think that Kubo deserved the fight, and what was your reaction to the fight?
Енді заслужил, не заслужил, енді лига сама решает, кто будет выходить, кто нет. Мен ол туралы ойланбаймын. Придет время, я тоже подержусь за пояс. В этом году хочу набрать, восстановить свои позиции и, наверное, подеремся за пояс, иншаллах.
And at featherweight, back at featherweight, you are considered one of the top contenders, but there are other featherweights who are close to a title shot. Kyoma Akimoto will fight Kleber Koike just 1 month after your fight. And then, of course, in September, there are many big featherweight fights. RIZIN does not have official rankings, but where do you think you are in the rankings?
Енді точно мынандай деп айта алмаймын, енді бірақ топ 5-ке кіремін деп ойлаймын.
Okay, so let's talk about your fight with Hagiwara. How and when did this fight get decided?
Бір ай шамамен, бір ай алдын болған шығар, есімде жоқ, ұмытып қалдым. Бір ай алдын қабылдадым, бірінші қарсылас Хагиварамен шығасын деп айтты. Ешқандай выбор болған жоқ, сразу келістік. Сразу бойға дайындауға бастап кеттік, жекпе-жекке дайындықтан.
And you mentioned it right there about Hagiwara's level. You have already defeated a RIZIN champion when you beat Chihiro Suzuki last year in March. Were you expecting to fight a different opponent than Hagiwara?
Мне без разницы, если конкретно, потому что я на контракте, лигада. Сол үшін мен соперников не выбираю. Кого отправлять, со всеми соглашаюсь, дерусь.
Obviously, like you said, you don't really care who they put in front of you. You just accept the contract. But, I mean, it's hard to ignore that Hagiwara is one of RIZIN's most popular fighters. How important was that for you when you accepted the fight?
Енді Медина вес болғанда жақсы деп ойлаймын. Себебі Жапонияда да өзіміздің фанат база пайда болуға көмек береді. Сол себепті Хагивара бергенде де разым лиганың. Мен ойлаймын, Хагиварамен жекпе-жек қызықты болып өтсе, Жапонияда біраз фанаттар қосылады деп ойлаймын.
In preparation for this fight, have you watched any of Hagiwara's fights? And if so, which ones and what did you think?
Бір-екі бойын көрдім. Сопернигім правша, ударник, кикбоксер. Өте жақсы қолдармен жұмыс жасайды, аяқпен жақсы тебеді лоу-киктер. В принципе, енді алдыңғы соперниктарымда кикбоксерлар, сондықтан барынша қарап, изучать етуге тырыстым.
Yeah, of course, Hagiwara is a striker like yourself. But if you look at his record, usually the fights that he didn't win was because his opponent took him down and submitted him. Does that affect how you will prepare or game plan for this fight?
Енді я на это не смотрю. Во-первых, потому что соперники разные, каждый дерется по-своему. Кому-то он удобен, кому-то неудобен. Так что, возможно, кому-то было легко его перебороть, там, побороть, болевой сделать. Со мной может он драться по-другому. И в бою может случиться всякое. Так что я такой себе легкий вариант не ищу. Думаю, ожидаю, что будет очень хороший бой.
Because he lost his last fight in April, it was difficult to put him on the event in September. He really wants to fight in September because it's a big show and it's in his hometown. But he said that his plan is to beat you specifically so that he can fight in September. I guess, what is your thoughts on him having that plan?
У каждого есть свой план, как и у меня тоже свой план. Но не думаю, что ему будет легко. Я тоже собираюсь выходить в октагон только чтобы за победой, выигрывать. Посмотрим в октагоне, что случится и как состоится бой.
And if you win this fight, no injuries, who and when would you like to fight next?
Если бой состоится очень хорошо, в пользу для меня, дальше посмотрим, и лига что предложит, вместе с Аятом все обсудим.
And you have said in the past that you don't want to fight against the champion at featherweight, Rajabali Shaydulayev, because you see him as a brother. But now you're back at featherweight, you're a top contender. Have your feelings changed at all?
Я хочу, пояс выиграть хочу, конечно. Я ради этого только дерусь. Насчет Раджабали я не знаю пока, что будет, но я думаю, он с контрактом у него как, не знаю, но думаю, до конца года он уйдет из лиги в другую организацию. Посмотрим, как сложится. Если не уйдет, возможно, подеремся. Пока точно не могу сказать. Но мы даже думали о совместном сборе. Я хотел прилететь в Кыргызстан, вместе подготовиться к этому бою. Но как времени не хватило на лагерь, из-за этого я в этот раз не полетел туда. Так что все сложно сейчас, в данное время говорить о бое.
If you win this fight and you are in a position to fight for the belt against Rajabali, how would you manage those feelings going into that fight?
Я не испытываю никаких чувств, это спорт. Всегда к боям подхожу с холодной головой. Если суждено подраться, я буду драться и делать до конца все, что в моих силах, чтобы выигрывать, а победа только за Аллахом. Так что неважно, как будет результат. Главное делать все, чтобы выиграть. Это мое мнение.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm sure the fans are looking forward to your next fight. Thank you so much for your time today. Could you please give a message to the RIZIN fans in Japan and around the world?
Вам тоже спасибо за интервью. Бүкіл Жапониядағы және RIZIN фанат, барлық әлемдегі RIZIN фанаттарына айтарым. 18 шілде күнгі жекпе-жекті өткізіп алмаңыздар, Хиросимадағы. Өте қызықты жекпе-жектердің бірі болады. Мен ойлаймын, фанаттарыма есте қалатындай жекпе-жектердің бірін сыйлаймыз деген ойдамын, Алла қаласа.
Absolutely. So there you have it. Karshyga Dalpek will face Kyohei Hagiwara at RIZIN Landmark 15 in Hiroshima on July 18th. RIZIN fans around the world can watch on RIZINtv. Karshyga, thank you so much for your time today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on Fight Week.
Thank you.
I'm happy to be joined by our next guest, who really needs no introduction, but he is the reigning and defending RIZIN Bantamweight champion, the Italian gangster himself, Danny Sabatello. Danny, thank you for joining today.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So it's only been a couple of months since your last fight, where you made your first title defense against Joji Goto. And there's a saying that you aren't the true champion until you defend the belt. Do you feel more validated after making your first defense, especially in such a dominant fashion?
Yes, absolutely. You know, you need to solidify these wins, and you need to solidify yourself as a champion by defending it. You know, anybody can have a good fight. They can have a fluke fight where they win the title, but it's truly when you defend it and you look good doing it that you are recognized as the champion. And last fight against a tough opponent with Joji Goto, who has some great wins and is a great fighter, I absolutely dominated that motherfucker. I left that arena knowing that I was so much better than him, and so did the rest of the fans. You know, there wasn't a doubt in anybody's mind that I was levels above him, and that was the goal. You know, I'm always striving to get the finish. I didn't get the finish, but the next best thing is winning, and then doing so in dominating fashion.
And after that fight, you made headlines in several ways. Obviously, the big boss, CEO Sakakibara, made you promise in front of all the fans to finish your next fight. But you also called out champions of other organizations. So I have two questions. First of all, what was your initial reaction when you got told that in front of all the fans?
Yeah, absolutely. When the big boss said that, I was kind of honored. You know, I am the only one in this organization that has these massive expectations. You know, a lot of these other guys are simply just trying to get wins, whereas I am the champion and I'm expected to finish my opponents as the champion. That just shows how good everybody thinks I am, and shows how good Sakakibara thinks I am. And he's absolutely right. You know, I want to become the face of this organization, the best organization there is in RIZIN, and I need to be finishing my opponents to do so. You know, I want to put on very high-level, exciting fights and do so with the cherry on top and finishing these guys. And, you know, when you are the champion and you defend your belt, you kind of level up a little, and I plan on showing that July 18th in Hiroshima. I made a promise to not just Sakakibara, but to all the people of Japan that I will get a finish, and I absolutely will get a finish on this bitch, Kashimura. I'm very much looking forward to do so because I have something special planned for all the people of Hiroshima, and it's at the expense of Kashimura's face.
And assuming you defeat Kashimura, is that something you want to happen, like a crossover fight with champions of other organizations? Or do you feel like there's still plenty of contenders here in RIZIN?
Well, a little bit of both. You know, I get very excited during the day, in the afternoon, at night, at all times of the day, thinking of possible opponents. You know, there's a lot of guys here in RIZIN, especially some newcomers that are going to be chomping at my feet and going to want to get a taste of this beautiful belt. But I'm going to keep beating the fuck out of all these guys, no matter what. You know, I think I want to put on high level and fights that the fans want to see. And if the fights want to see a crossover promotion, then so be it. We just saw Naoki Inoue in the PFL take out one of their tournament winners in Alves. So why not better than me beating the fuck out of McKee, who seems to be their other big name over there? You know, we could do massive crossover fights, which would be great for not just RIZIN, not just Japan, but for the whole sport. You know, I want to bring RIZIN to new heights that it's never seen before, and that's something that would excite me. But at the same time, if the fans want to see me clear out this division even more, there's absolutely a lot of fights on the horizon. There's Patchy Mix that just made his way down to bantamweight. I can't wait to beat the fuck out of him someday, whether it's in the RIZIN ring or not. Either way, I'm fucking him up. But there's plenty of guys. You know, obviously there's Asakura, who's in the UFC right now, but he absolutely can come back to RIZIN, and I would love to beat the fuck out of him. There's Ogi Kubo, who has been rumored to come up to bantamweight. I would welcome him to bantamweight by stomping his fucking face out. There's a lot of different fights that I can have in RIZIN, but there's also a lot of exciting fights outside the promotion that I can represent RIZIN in Japan in a great way that nobody can. I want to put that RIZIN on my chest. I want to put that representation of all the Japanese people, and I want to fuck up everyone in the other organizations too. So at the end of the day, whatever Sakakibara, the big boss, and whatever all the fans want to see, I'm down.
Brilliantly put. Like you just mentioned earlier, you welcome the pressure and the expectation to finish your fights, and you consider it a privilege to be in that position. But is there any part of you that feels like it will affect how you prepare or approach for your fights, or have you always from the start been looking for finishes?
Yeah, I've always kind of been looking for finishes just because, that really stamps your dominance on the opponents. But with my specific skill set, and everything that we're working on at the best gym in the world down in South Florida at American Top Team with the best coach in the game, Mike Brown, I keep leveling up. So as I keep going for finishes and I take a little bit more risks, the finishes will come. A lot of people say once you become champion, you get a percentage better. And I'm looking forward to showing that. I do need to put a stamp on my dominance over these opponents. I do need to finish these guys because I want to be the best fighter that RIZIN has ever seen. Like I said, I want to become the face of this promotion. And what you do by doing that is you need to finish these guys. Karshyga, he absolutely has to be the sacrificial lamb of July 18th. It just so happens that it has to be him. A lot of people say it's nothing personal. Well, fuck that. With me, it absolutely is personal. This motherfucker tries to win. Nuh-uh, I have to finish this motherfucker.
And we'll get to your fight against Karshyga in a bit. I'm very excited to hear what else you have to say about him. But I wanted to personally ask you this question. Last year, before your RIZIN debut, you were on a run of results that didn't go your way. And after the draw in the PFL, in the post-fight interview, you remarked that you might not ever fight again. But here we are 14 months later. You're the defending RIZIN Bantamweight World Champion, riding a 4-fight win streak. When you reflect on your decision to come over to RIZIN, are you at the happiest you have been in your career? And do you feel like you're at your peak?
Yes, absolutely. There is not a promotion out there better than RIZIN. Anytime I talk to people over here in the States, I do nothing but praise RIZIN. And everybody over here kind of wants to make their way over there. I get more and more people by the day, whether it's Instagram DMs or everybody at American Top Team, trying for me to put in a good word for all these fighters to try to get over there. But RIZIN is the best promotion in the world. It's not easy to be a fighter over there. So these guys kind of have to kick rocks and they kind of have to show themselves that they're a great fighter. It's a privilege and an honor to be a RIZIN fighter and to be contracted by RIZIN. But I do nothing but hype it up. And with the decision coming over to RIZIN, I say it's the best decision in my life. Look at what I've become. I am the star of the show. In a lot of people's minds, I am the best bantamweight in the world, and I look forward to keep proving that. I know, and my teammates and my coaches know that I am the best bantamweight in the world. I just need to keep winning, doing so in dominant fashion, and I'll be undisputable the best fighter in the world. Obviously, in a sport where MMA, anything can happen, and everybody loves it so much that way. Some results haven't gone my way previously, and I've gotten bullshit draws, but that's just part of the love of this sport, how unpredictable it is, and how it can change in the blink of a fucking eye. And that's what it's been for me, and that's what it's been for a lot of fighters. So with the unpredictability of everything that's gone on, I couldn't be more excited and more happy to be in RIZIN. And I want to be in RIZIN for an extra more 20 years. I keep saying I want to defend my belt 87 times, but that's just because I played it safe. In the back of my mind, I want to defend it 100 times, but I know people might think that I'm exaggerating with that. So that's why I land on 87.
I have a couple of interesting stats I want to run by you, and I want to get your reaction to them. Since you made your RIZIN debut May 4th of last year, up until your upcoming fight on July 18th, you are only one of 3 fighters in RIZIN to have fought at least 5 times, the other being Makoto Shinryu, your teammate at ATT, and Kyoma Akimoto, who also has 5 fights. How does it feel to hear that stat?
Yeah, it feels great. I always pride myself on being an absolute fighter. I always say there's no fighter out there like me. Throughout my career, I have never missed weight. I have never popped for a drug test. I have never backed out of a fight, and I've never turned down a fight. There's not many guys out there with 20 plus fights that are like that. I always say I'm the most unique fighter in all of MMA, and I keep trying to have more and more fights. It's my goal this year to defend this beautiful RIZIN belt 4 times within this calendar year. I don't know if that's ever been done in RIZIN, but that's the type of person I am, and I want to keep breaking records. You say there's only 2 other guys that have done that, and that's awesome because Makoto is a tough, scrappy fighter as it is, and Akimoto fuck that guy. He's a little bitch. So he can go fuck himself. I don't really care about that motherfucker. But me and Makoto, we are the faces of RIZIN. You know, he's the flyweight champion, and I'm so excited for him. He just won a very good fight against Ogikubo, and I look forward to watching him defend his belt as well. But as for me, I am an absolute fighter through and through, and people can expect me to just keep on fighting. At the end of the day, I do this shit because I fucking love it, and I want to put on great fights for all the fans, and I want to entertain all of Japan. So I'm not going to be slowing down. A lot of these pussy-ass fighters get the belt and they slow down just because they want to be the champion for as long as they fucking can. That's not me. I want to put myself to the test. I want to put my beautiful belt on the line, and I want to keep beating the fuck out of all these guys.
Wow. I mean, since you just brought it up there, you want to defend the belt 4 times this calendar year. April, obviously you have the fight coming up this month here in July, and 2 more times after that. I guess in your mind, what is the timeline ideally for you?
Yeah, ideally I fight in September at that beautiful Super RIZIN. You know, that's a show that every fighter in the absolute world wants to go on. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Nobody puts on these mega events like RIZIN. No other promotion can compare to anything that RIZIN does with their Super RIZIN events. So any time that there's a Super RIZIN, I'm going to want to be on it. And there's thankfully one in September that lines up perfectly in my book. And even if it didn't line up perfectly, I would make it fucking line up because I want to fight every fucking weekend. It's about 8 weeks from July 18th after I beat the fuck out of Karshyga. So what perfect way to fight in September, and then also on their beautiful New Year's Eve card. You know, I'm a fighter that's the champion, and I want to be a part of big events. I want to take RIZIN to new limits, so I want to be on their biggest and best cards. And what better way than to fuck this guy up in Hiroshima and have Hiroshima dance at night and sing and praise my name, and then go on in September, beat the fuck out of someone, and then go on in New Year's Eve and cap off the beautiful fucking year defending my belt 4 times, which I don't know has ever been done.
Yeah, I believe that's never been done, so it definitely would be a first. My follow-up question to the stat that I just mentioned is, what do you attribute your ability to be so active to?
Yeah, just being fucking tough. You know, a lot of these fighters get these nicks and these bruises. They might break a bone. They might tear something, and they pull out of their fights. Well, it doesn't fucking matter. I never pull out of my fights. I get hurt all the time. The difference is I don't give a fuck. I go in there hurt. I go in there not hurt. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not scared to fight with an injury or not an injury because I know once I see those beautiful fans in their seats expecting me to put on a show, how could I not deliver for the fans? So it's just coming down to toughness. A lot of these fighters out here aren't actual true fighters. They just view it as work. They might just think it's a paycheck and they only do it a couple of times a year. With me, I don't view it as work at all. I don't give a fuck about the money. I just want to keep getting tougher, keep getting better as a mixed martial artist, and just keep proving myself as the best fighter on the planet. So what better way than to just keep fighting? You know, there is not a better feeling in the world than being in that ring or that RIZIN cage and getting my hand raised. So I'm addicted to it. I want to do it as much as possible. So it's addicted to winning, and it's being a tough motherfucker. Not only am I the best bantamweight in the world, but I'm the toughest fucking fighter that there is, and I'll never back out of a fight.
Yeah, I have another question, just because you mentioned the ring and the cage. Do you have a preference now that you've fought in both?
I like them both. There's pros to cons to both of them. You know, me, somewhat more of a grappler, even though my hands are getting better and better. There's pros and cons between a ring and a cage. With the ring, with the open air, I can get my body lock better. But with a fence, I can pin them up against the fence. I don't really have a preference too much. Either way, we plan for them. You know, my training camps are kind of geared to them. At American Top Team, we have 2 cages, but we also kind of have a makeshift ring that we have been experimenting with at American Top Team. So at the end of the day, I don't really give a fuck. The better fighter will win. These people that make excuses about ring or cage or they won this or they lost that because if it's a ring or cage is fucking bullshit. Either way, the better fighter is going to win. I don't give a fuck if it's in somebody's basement, if it's in an alley, if it's in a ring, or it's a cage. Whichever one the fans want to see, I'll fight in that one.
Wow. And I do really want to get to your fight with Karshyga, but I just wanted to run one more stat by you and just get your reaction to it. You're the only fighter in RIZIN, alongside the flyweight Tony Laramie, to have been booked in a different prefecture in each of your RIZIN fights here in Japan. Both of you guys are at 5. You'll have fought in Tokyo, Aichi, Saitama, Fukuoka, and then upcoming at Hiroshima. And the only fighters that have fought in more prefectures than you have fought in RIZIN at least 10 times, so twice as much as you have. What is your reaction to that statistic?
Yeah, well, for starters, my reaction is fuck Tony Laramie, that little fucking bitch. He can come get it, come up to bantamweight, that little fat fuck. I'll kick the shit out of him at any time. I'll do that shit for free. I'll do that shit just because he's a fucking little bitch. But, I attribute that just to RIZIN understanding that I am the face of this. They know that it is a great business decision for me to fight. I put asses in seats, and I know people want to see me fight. They want to see me win. With this fight specifically going against Karshyga, I've got nothing but great things from the Japanese people, and I'm going against the Japanese people. I think people are starting to understand that I represent Japanese martial arts and I represent RIZIN better than anybody can. So I'm kind of becoming a fan favorite, which is kind of funny because people somewhat think that I'm this kind of bad guy character and I'm kind of this heel, but that's just not the point. That's just who I am. What I do right now is just who I am. These are the thoughts that come into my head. I'm not trying to be some heel. I'm not trying to be this or that. I just am who I am, and people have resonated it over there in Japan. So, when they see me hyping up these fights and they see me winning all these fights, what better way than to break all these records and have these new heights and these new ceilings going on with me. So when you say that, I'm very honored and I love it, but I'm just getting fucking started.
Wow. No, thank you for all of that. Now let's talk about your upcoming fight. So after your last title defense, it was maybe a bit unclear who your next contender would be, but eventually it was decided that Karshyga would be up next. Just tell me about how this fight came together and how what you thought of the name when it was brought up to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for starters, I've been talking trash to Karshyga on Twitter and X for some time now. I've wanted to fight that guy for a while. He's the deep champion, but this isn't fucking deep. This is RIZIN. So I've wanted to beat the fuck out of him. Also, people love a wrestler versus jiu-jitsu type of fight. That's always exciting in everybody's minds. And I'm going to show that the quote-unquote wrestler, even though I'm better everywhere, is going to beat the fuck out of him. But, obviously I was supposed to possibly go against Inoue. He had that fight in the PFL against Alves, and if he was okay, and if he could make it to the battlefield, I was going to fight him. Unfortunately, he's a bitch, and he couldn't fucking make it to the battlefield, so we have to go with Karshyga. But I'm more than thrilled. I already beat the fuck out of Inoue, and I was absolutely cheering my head off for him against the PFL guy and Alves, and I was his #1 fan. I wanted Inoue to win that fight so bad, but once that bell rang and he got his hand raised and he showed that RIZIN is better, he went right back to being my fresh fucking meat. So, you know what? Maybe I do fight Inoue someday. Maybe I fucking don't. I already beat the shit out of him. But if the fans want to see a rematch, we can absolutely do that. There's also other fighters on the horizon that are fun fights. So, you know what? He has to get back in fucking line. Right now, it's Karshyga. That fight came together, and I couldn't be any more excited. It's a very exciting fight because this guy does have some good finishes. He is a little bit tricky. His jiu-jitsu is looked at as respectable and this just jiu-jitsu purist. But I'm going to show that shit's not going to fucking work on me. It's going to be hard to get an arm bar or a leg lock or a choke when I'm repeatedly bashing my fucking knee through his skull. It's going to be hard to do jiu-jitsu when I'm punting his fucking head off his fucking body. So it's a very exciting fight. I think this fight against Karshyga is more exciting than any other fight in the division right now. And I'm looking forward to it because we're only 2 weeks out.
Wonderful. And no, you read my mind. I was going to ask, what was your impression of his style, but you touched on it there. Given his grappling heavy style, do you see this fight similarly to the Ota fight, maybe a chance to showcase more of your striking?
Yeah, I want to do everything. I always say with these MMA fights, I want to just expose how better I am at MMA. Maybe it stays on the feet and I fucking pick him apart. Maybe it goes to the ground for a little bit to show that I'm going to beat the fuck out of you in your own area. I know that he's going to want to take it to the ground. Everybody knows I have better stand-up than him, better wrestling than him. He just thinks that he can get lucky, possibly in the first round when we're a little bit less sweaty and less wet. He can sink in some type of submission, but it's not going to fucking happen. I know that he is thinking that his route to victory will be early on and to sink something in when he catches me sleeping, but I don't fucking sleep. I'm awake for that whole 15 minutes, and it won't even go 15 minutes. I'm going to be the one finishing him. But you know what? The fans out there and everybody can expect a very brutal fight. This will be a finish. I said it after my last fight that I will get to finish my next fight. Well, here we fucking are. July 18th is the next fight, and I have to get this finish against Karshyga. I don't give a fuck what he thinks that he has to do to get the win. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be me and I'm going to bash his fucking face. You know, I'm going to kick him. I'm going to punch him. Maybe I take him down. Maybe I don't. His takedown defense is fucking horrific. I also know that he wants me to be in his guard so he can play jiu-jitsu on his back like a little bitch. But maybe I won't go into his guard. He has no idea where I'm going to take the fight. The good thing is that I can go fucking anywhere. But either way, July 18th in Hiroshima, it ends with a finish.
Wow. And in a recent interview that Kashimura did, he actually said that before the press conference, what he was thinking, what he wanted to say to you was that he actually loves your fight style. He finds the way that you fight very interesting, even if some fans might criticize just how dominant your wrestling is. He said that, you know, he thinks your style is awesome. He really respects you. But then, of course, once the press conference started, you came, you know, right out the gate talking trash to him. So he said that once Danny said that, I couldn't really say any of that. But I just wanted to get like your reaction to him, you know, the kind of his true feeling about coming into this fight.
Yeah, well, he can shut the fuck up. Nobody fucking asked him. I don't give a shit whether he likes my style or doesn't like my style. I'm always going to be my style. You know, the funny thing is MMA fighters and these professional fighters, also the fans that truly understand the sport, kind of respect my style a little bit and like my style because they understand how hard it is. You know, when you're dominating a guy for 15 straight minutes and you're winning in every single position, these purists in MMA completely get it. It's the casuals that kind of don't understand it, but I'm here to cater to everybody. I'm here to cater to the purists and the casual, the fighters and the non-fighters. The good thing is July 18th isn't going to be like my last fight. It's going to be a hell of a lot more exciting for everybody. You know, Kashimura can like me. He can hate me. Either way, I have a job to do July 18th, and that's take his fucking head off. I don't have any mercy for him. He can say nice things. He can say bad things. Either way, it ends with his head coming off his fucking body. I need to parade with the people of Hiroshima. I owe them a finish here, and I owe it at the expense of his fucking face.
No, every answer you've given me so far has answered like 3 other questions that I wanted to ask. So that's pretty much all I had. I guess lastly, if you could just give a message to the RIZIN fans in Japan and around the world.
Yeah, the RIZIN fans, I say this during every interview, and I mean it. You guys are the best fans in the world. Japan has the best MMA fans in the absolute world. Nobody compares to you. It's my honor to fight in front of all of you. I keep leveling up my style, and I get more motivated and motivated to defend this beautiful RIZIN belt because of fucking you guys. And I promise that I will defend this belt with great honor July 18th. I promise that I will finish Kashimura, and I promise we will fucking party in all of Hiroshima.
Wonderful. Well, there you have it. The champion, Danny Sabatello, will defend his belt against Jinosuke Kashimura at RIZIN Landmark 15 in Hiroshima on July 18th. RIZIN fans around the world can watch on RIZINtv. Danny, I know it's very, very early over there. Thank you so much for the time today.
Yep, thank you for having me. It was awesome.
Wonderful. Take care and see you on Fight Week.
Thank you. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.